All right, looks like we're gonna get started. So, hi everyone. My name is James. I'm a tech consultant working here at Central Park Library. So today we're gonna go over how to use Libby. This is the app you can use on your mobile devices for reading books and listening to audiobooks. So this is a 35-minute program. And if you have any questions, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to ask us questions, and we will answer as many questions as we can between topics or such. And then after the class, we will also answer some questions. If we run out of time and you still have more you want to ask, please come to the Tech Center during open library hours, and we can help you out one-on-one. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. So here we are. This is when you first install Libby, this is the screen that you're going to see. So it's asking us first for registration. We need to register in order to use Libby. So on the screen, if you see a gray dot moving around, that is what I'm going to call my finger. This is my finger moving around the screen. So to register, I'm going to click yes. Now it's going to ask us for what library we want to use. So I'm going to click on search for a library. I hold my finger down over search for a library and tap. It's going to ask us for a library name. I'm going to move my finger up to library name, tap down, and I'm going to look for Santa Clara City Library. And we have one option here, Northern California Digital Library. Oh, actually, 1 second. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this earlier, but this class is going to be recorded, and then we will put this on the Santa Clara City Library YouTube channel. All right, back to the class. I'm gonna go ahead and tap on the Northern California Digital Library. So we've selected that library, and in order to start borrowing books or audiobooks, we need to sign in with our library card. So on the right side of the screen, I'm gonna move my finger over to sign in with my card. I'm gonna tap down. And as we can see, I'm already on the right library or this star here. So I'm going to tap down on Santa Clara City Library. And I'm going to go ahead and enter in my card number. Once I've done that, I'm going to hover over next and tap down. Now it's going to ask me for my PIN number. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that. Going to press sign in. And here we go. We've added our library card. So we go ahead and press next. And now let's say right away, I want to get started on borrowing books. So if you come down, I'm going to move my finger down to the bottom of the screen. We have a search icon here. I'm going to tap on it. And at the top of the screen, there's a search bar. I'm going to tap down on that, and I'll be able to start looking up books. So let's say I want to borrow a Harry Potter book. So if I type Harry Potter, press search, now it's going to show us Harry Potter results. So right now it's showing us both audiobooks and eBooks, but right now I only want eBooks. So I'm going to move my finger just below the red section of the screen. I'm circling my finger around it, books. If I click down on that or I tap down on that, it's only going to show us eBooks. So I'm going to look for an available one that's not currently on hold. So right here we have the second Harry Potter book. It's in Spanish, but we don't mind that right now. I'm going to put my finger over borrow and tap down. It's going to bring this to the screen, making sure that this is the book that we want to borrow. Now there's a few things here that we're looking at. So I am moving my finger around what we want to be looking at right now. So it says we have 0 out of 10 loans and 0 out of 10 holds. So this is one of the limits we have on the library cards for Libby. So at max at one time, you can have up to 10 holds and up to 10 loans. And if you look below that, we'll see that this is our loaning period. So when we press borrow, we're only going to have this book available to us for 21 days. And then at the end of that period, either you can extend your loaning period or the book will be taken out of your card. So I'm going to click borrow. And right away we can start reading. So I'm going to press open book. And so this is what we're going to see when we open the book. If I tap down just anywhere in the screen to close out the interface, so I'm going to tap on the middle of the screen. Now to navigate the book, what we want to do is you can either tap or swipe. So if I tap on the right side of the screen, it's going to bring me to the next page. I'm going to do it again so we can start seeing some text. So if I tap on the right side of the screen, once again, tap, 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 we're going to see the next pages in the book. And let's see, I want to go back to see the title. To do that, I'm going to move my finger over to the left side of the screen. If I tap down, we've gone back. I'm going to go back a few more times. And we'll see that I'm back on the title screen. Now, another way to navigate pages is to swipe. So if I go over to the right side of the screen with my finger, hold down and swipe left, we'll see that the pages are moving with my finger. And now we're back to the table of contents. And so vice versa, if I hold my finger down on the left side of the screen and swipe to the right, we'll see that we're going backwards. Now, let's say that I wanted to go to a specific chapter in the page because let's say I've already started reading this and now I just wanted to read on the ebook. So if I tap on the screen, it's going to bring up the interface. So when I say tap on the screen, I mean generally in the middle area so you don't accidentally switch pages. So if I come down into table of contents, actually, no, if I click on, oh, my bad. If I click on table of contents, we'll see all the chapters in the book. So I'm going to go to hover my finger over chapter 10, click down or tap down, and we'll see that we're now at chapter 10. But there's another problem. I want to make the text bigger. It's a little too hard on my eyes, so I want to increase the size of the text. If I click down in the middle of the screen or tap down on the middle of the screen, once again, to bring up the interface, if I bring my finger over to the top right of the screen, we see an A here. If I tap on the A, it's going to bring us some options for our text. So if I hold down my finger on this little slider here and drag it to the right, I drag it to the right once, and we'll see that the text has gotten a little bigger, but I want it bigger. I'll drag it to the right once again, and then we can make it even bigger. Hold down my finger on the slider and bring it to the right again, and we'll see that the text has gotten much bigger than before. But if you're a person who prefers smaller text, we can definitely make it smaller. So I'm going to click in the middle area of the screen to bring up the interface, bring my finger up to the top right of the screen, tap down. I'm going to put my finger down on the slider and drag all the way to the left. So we'll see that the text has gotten much smaller. So there's definitely much customization you can do with Libby here. I'm going to bring back up the interface, go up to the A, and I'm going to tap on the middle here. And so tapping is another way we can change this text, the size of the text. Now, let's say that you don't like the completely white background. So we have three options. So the default, it's on bright. So let's say we wanted sepia. If I come back, you see that the screen or the background looks more like a traditional book page, and the text also has gotten a little warmer in color. And then there's a third option. This is dark mode. So we'll see that the background is black and the text is white. So I do like to use this mode late at night when there's no natural light, or I have all the lights off and I'm just reading. So this lets me read with a little less strain on my eyes. But of course, if it's just during the day, you have plenty of the light, we can, just use the bright mode. So you're not straining your eyes to read the white text and while it's bright. Now, so that is, another way to navigate through the book is we have a scale at the bottom here. So let's say I want to go back to the beginning of the book. If I hold down my finger on the scale and drag to the right, we'll see that we're going backwards through the book, and I can go straight to the first chapter. No, not that's the second chapter. This is the first chapter. So you can also tap on these bold pieces of the line, and these are signs that show you where the chapter begins. So I am clicking on the bold line. You can also click in between pages or in between chapters to go to, oh, actually, no, you can only tap on the lines to go to chapters, but you can drag and go to a different page. This is another way to navigate between pages as well. So that's how we read books on the Libby app. So I'm going to go to the top of the screen here, top left, tap down my finger on back. And let's say now I don't want to read, but I want to listen. So we want audiobooks. I'm going to go back to the top of the screen or top of the menu here. And right now it's filtered only for books, but to get rid of that, if I bring my finger over the little X sign here, I tap down on that, and it's going to give us options. We can just remove the filter, or we can just switch to audiobooks. So I'm going to switch to audiobooks. And we'll see now that we are only that the screen is only showing us results for audiobooks. So I'm going to scroll down, look for an available one. Looks like there's one right here. I'm going to press borrow. Let me press borrow again. Well, it looks like something went wrong. Let's try borrowing a different one. I'll borrow this one. To do that, I'm going to put my finger over borrow and tap down. Bring my finger over the borrow and tap down once again. All right, looks like it went well this time. Now we're going to start listening right away. So I'm going to press open audiobook. Now this is the interface we see when we open the audiobook. So this, I'm on the bottom side of the screen here, we have this big circle, and this is our play button. So if I press play, it's going to automatically start playing the book. So I'm going to skip ahead so that we start getting to the actual reading. So to do that, I am going to put my finger down on the scale on the bottom side of the screen and drag to the left. So like on the ebook, you can do this to navigate between parts in the audiobook. So I'm just gonna go ahead, stop it here, and press play.
いるやだき Pero Frank no se fue. Se
So
quedó cuidando el jardín para la familia.
as you see, it started reading the audiobook to us. But let's say that we don't like the speed of the voice and we want it to be a little slower. That's something we can do, absolutely. So if we come to the top right of the screen, we have a little meter here. If I put my finger on that and tap down, it's showing us possible playback speeds. So that's how fast the voice is talking. So right now it's at the normal. It's at 1 time speed. We have a few presets here on the left side. So if I put it to 1.5 times speed, we'll see the current speed is faster. It's 1.5 times, so it's 1.5 times as fast, the voice. But I said we wanted it slower, so I'm gonna make it slower. To do that, I'm gonna put my finger over the slider here and drag up, and I'm gonna put it at 0.75 times. So the voice will only talk as 0.75 times as fast. So to click out of this, I can click on this little, or to get out of this screen, I'm going to bring my finger over this little caret here, tap on it. It's going to bring us back to the normal screen. And if I press play, we'll hear that the voice is slower.
Que habitó a continuación en la mansión de los Riddle. Y luego
But let's say I've changed my mind and I wanted to make the voice faster. So I'm going to bring my finger up to the meter here, tap down, and I can choose one of the presets here, or I can also use a slider. I'm going to use a slider this time. So I'm going to bring my finger over the slider, drag down. I'm going to put on 1.5 times speed. So once again, to get out of the screen, I'm going to put my finger over this caret sign here, tap down, and I'm going to press play.
para los siguientes inquilinos, porque nadie permaneció mucho tiempo allí. Quizá
And we can hear that the voice is indeed much faster. So I'm going to set this back to normal speed. To do that, I'm going to come up to the top right side of the screen, tap down on this little meter. I'm going to choose the preset normal speed. And if I decide to start playing it again, the voice will talk normally. So I'll show that right now.
era en parte a causa de Frank, por lo que cada nuevo propietario aseguró.
So as we just heard, the voice is talking at a normal speed once again. So there's another useful tool for audiobooks is the sleep timer. If I come up to the top right side of the screen, there is a little moon icon here. I'm gonna tap down on that. And we can choose to have the audiobook pause after a certain amount of time. And there's also another helpful option here that will pause the audiobook at the end of the chapter. So if you only want to read for a chapter or so while you're doing something else and you don't want it to keep going, if I click on 25 minutes end of chapter and I were to press play, the audiobook would keep playing until the end of the chapter. Of course, we don't have actually we could, if we go to table of contents and tap down, and we come to chapter 2. So this is navigating between chapters. I'm going to click down and tap down on chapter 2. So we see that we've navigated there. So that's the way of navigating chapters. So if you put the end of chapter, the sleep timer to the end of chapter, you'll see that if we let it play for a minute, the sleep timer would go off and the audiobook would pause. So you can also fine tune this. If you, instead of doing, just 15 minutes or 30 minutes, let's say you wanted it for 20 minutes, the timer. So if I hold down my finger on the slider, drag down, we'll see that increments of 5 minutes. And so now the sleep timer is on 20 minutes. So if I press play, the audiobook would only play for 20 minutes and then it would stop. Now, say I am done with this audiobook and I wanted to listen to one of the English versions, but there aren't any available copies for us to listen to immediately. So what we can do is place a hold. So if I come over to place hold and tap down, we'll see that it's going to take about 3 weeks for us to be able to listen to this audiobook. Now that is an estimate, it's not going to be exact, but it's in that general time span. So if I press place hold, once a copy is available for us, it will be automatically added to our shelf and we'll be able to listen to it. So in the meantime, while we wait, we can also look for other books. But let's say you don't have anything in mind specifically, we can look at recommendations that the app gives us. So if I come down to the bottom of the screen, I'm going to put my finger over this little icon of a house. If I tap down on that, it's going to bring us to the home screen. Now there are many recommendations and they're separated by sections. So this first section here, these are lucky day sections. This is the lucky day section. You might have seen this at the library on one of our displays. So these books here, these are what we call hot titles, and we can borrow them right away, even though they're popular. But the catch is that when you borrow them, you'll only have a loading period of 7 days instead of the regular 21 days. But if we scroll down, where there's other options, there are books catered for kids, for teenagers. We have a section of books just for Spanish readers. And if you wanted to look at one of these, if I hover my finger over one of these, I'm going to tap down on kids. And we'll see here that we have books just for kids. Well, not just for, but catered mostly towards kids. So there won't be anything age inappropriate here. So to go back to the home screen, I can go to the top left of the screen, tap down my finger on library, and we're back where we were. So we have other sections as well. There's just added, we have read woman in translation, we have armchair travel, and as you keep scrolling down, there will be more sections that Libby recommends to you. So say I wanted to go back to reading the other Harry Potter book I borrowed. If I come to the bottom of the screen here, there is a icon with some books stacked on top of each other. This is our shelf. So the shelf is going to show us everything we've currently loaned or that's currently loaned to us. So if I wanted to continue reading this Harry Potter book, I can bring my finger over to open in Libby and it's going to let us start reading again. And it actually saves where you stopped, where you left it at. So that's very useful for us. I'm going to go back and say I wanted to listen to the audiobook once again. I am on the shelf. If you don't know how to get to the shelf, you want to go down to the middle or the bottom of the screen. There is some books stacked on top of each other. That's the icon you want to click. If you tap there, you'll be brought to the shelf. And to listen to the audiobook that we borrowed, you can come up to it and press open audiobook. And we're brought back to the screen to where we can listen to this book. So I'm going to go back and let's say that I wanted to see the timeline that we have. And by timeline, I mean, it's going to be a visual representation of, one second. Oh, it's at the bottom here, at the bottom of the screen. We have a picture of a clock. I'm going to tap on that. And so you see, this is a history of everything we've borrowed or put on hold. So we see that we put that So today is the 17th of August, and it's showing us that we've done all these things on that date. So if for some reason you wanted to look at the day and remember, or try to figure out when your loan period will expire, you can just come back to the timeline. You see that we borrowed it on the 17th of August, and we'll know that, we still have a lot of time left for these books. But let's say that I didn't want these books on my shelf anymore. So I'm going to come down to this Harry Potter title. I tap down on it, and we have the option to return it early. So, oh, sorry. I'm going to go back to the timeline, go to the bottom of the screen, click on timeline, or tap on timeline. I'm going to tap on the book that we wanted to return. And if we tap return early, it's going to give us another screen to make sure that we want to return this book. I'm tapping return. And we'll see if we go to our shelf that the book is no longer there. And we can also return books on the shelf screen. So if I come over to this Harry Potter book and I tap down on manage loan, we'll have an option here to return early if I wanted to do so. Now you'll see right below that there is renew loan. So if I try to tap on that now, it's going to tell us that it's too early to renew our loan, but we will be able to renew it if you wanted to in 18 days. So if you're still reading the book and you just needed a little more time to finish it, or you hadn't gotten to it yet, you can renew the loan and it will stay on your shelf for a whole another period of time. But for now, I'm going to manage a loan, and I'm going to return this early. So do that once again. If I'm on the shelf, I bring my finger over to manage loan. I'm gonna come over to return early, tap down on that, tap return again. And now we have nothing on a shelf. So let's say that you had another library card you wanted to add to the Libby app. So to do that, if you come down to the bottom of the screen, it's these 3 horizontal lines. I'll tap down on that. And you have the option of adding other libraries if you have the cards for those libraries. So you can search here for another library, say the San Jose Public Library. You can add your card there and you have access to that library on Libby. So let's say that instead of reading on the Libby app, that you have a Kindle app on your device as well that you wanted to read on instead because you like that interface more, or you just like the way how it looks, or you're more comfortable with it. So if we want to be on this shelf when we do this, so go to the shelf, once again, we're going to go down to the middle of the screen, the bottom middle of the screen. You'll tap on the shelf button. And then what we want to do now is go up to the top right. We're going to tap down on actions. And we're going to go down to read books with. And it's going to give us an option to read either with Kindle apps and devices or the Libby app. So I'm going to tap down on Kindle apps and devices. And if you have so normally this would ask you to sign into your Amazon account, just so you have your Libby and your Amazon account connected. And so if you were to go to your Kindle app, you'll see that any books that you've borrowed on Libby, you'll be able to read on the Libby app. So it does look like we're 5 minutes early. We have plenty of times for questions. If you wanted to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, you can enter in your questions there and we'll be able to answer them right now.
Hey, James, this is Paul chiming in. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul. I'm James's assistant tonight. I was going to be the one reading questions out to him, but I'm not seeing any in the chat. So it looks like we might wrap it up just a little early tonight. So we're going to do, James is going to say some stuff to close out. But if you have any questions that you'd like to get in there, please feel free to type them in as long as the room is open and we have time. So we will answer them. Thank you.
All right, so please check out the library site. That's sclibrary.org for our other programs and resources that are for completely free to you. And if you want to get more notices about upcoming tech classes, sign up for the email notices and you'll be able to know when we have other tech classes. So we do have a question. So the question is, how do I access Libby? So you can use Libby on your mobile devices. So you would download the app off the App Store and you're able to use Libby from there. As far as I know, I don't think Libby has a browser version.
That is correct, James. There is not a way to access Libby through a web browser. It is only a mobile app. Libby is part of a company called Overdrive, and Overdrive doesn't support audiobooks and ebooks very well anymore. They're really trying to transition completely over to Libby and just be a mobile app. But if you have more questions about that, or you want to try to use Overdrive on a web browser, you're welcome to come into the library. One of our librarians would be happy to help you with that.
Thank you, Paul. So, if there's any more questions, please go ahead and answer or ask them. But otherwise, if you are done.
James, sorry, we do have one more question in the Q&A. Someone is saying they want to use their AirPods, and how do they do that? I assume they're talking about listening to audiobooks. That's a little outside the scope of this class. And the answer is you would want to connect them to your phone with Bluetooth. There's a process, pretty quick and easy process you go through with that on your iPhone, but that's not something we can really demo right here, right now. But again, if you would like to come into the library, we're happy to offer one-on-one help. The Tech Center is open anytime Central Park Library is open, and that is exactly the kind of thing that we love to help with.
Thank you again, Paul. And yeah, so if you're done here, once you leave, please answer or fill out our feedback survey. This is great feedback for the team here so that we can offer better classes and we have better ideas of what you all want to learn.
Sorry to interrupt one more time, James. We got one more last minute question.
Oh, okay.
Someone is asking, how do I retrieve my library PIN number if I don't have it? So the thing about PINs at the library is they are private. We library staff, we don't know your PIN. Even when you enter it, when you create your account, it's encrypted, so we can't see it. The only way that you can change it is to either call the library up and we can help you do it over the phone, or you can come into the library and we will change it for you at the accounts desk at the front, or if you're at one of the branches, just the main desk there.
So we'll keep this webinar up for just a few more minutes. Once again, once you leave, I would really appreciate it if you filled out our feedback survey so we can help you more in the future.
Okay, James, this is getting comical because I'm just interrupting you over and over again, but we got one more question in the chat. Someone is asking, do Libby Books download? If you don't have an internet connection, but you still want to access your ebooks or your audiobooks, are you still able to do that?
Yes, so for Libby, you do have the option of downloading the books and you'll be able to read them offline.
Do you want to demo that maybe, James? We can just bring the screen share up back really
absolutely.
quick.
Yes.
Thank you. since we have time.
All right, so let me get back to Libby. Just really quick, I'm sorry. Go ahead and borrow a book real quickly, or an audiobook, that works too. So I'm gonna borrow this. Once again, doesn't look like anyone was wanting to listen to this. So if you go to the shelf, you see that once you borrow something, it's going to automatically download to your device. So that's what this little circle here is, with the progress meter. Or you see that the darker portion is slowly going around the circle. And once that's complete, that's how you know that the book has been downloaded to your device and that you'll be able to listen to it offline.
Okay, and I do not see any more questions, so I think we're going to wrap up for real this time. Thank you, everybody, for coming this evening. It's been a